Hi, it's Rana. Today I have a layout for the Pretty Little Studio design team and also for Christy's Beautiful Life Series 19. This is a sketch a day, and today's sketch is by Sarah Christensen. Really like this one. And it was going to work out perfectly for the first challenge in the Pretty Little Studio Facebook fans group, which is going to be multi-photo. So this is kind of a twofer here. I am going to use the You Are My Sunshine collection for this, and I am going to follow the sketch. However, there's going to be a couple of things I do a little bit differently. So you saw my photos there. I do have 4 photos, and I have 2 that are horizontal and 2 that are vertical. I cut all of my photos 2.5 by 3.5. And you can see here I've already laid that down. The piece of paper that I showed you, I went ahead and cut those 4 pieces at 2.5 by 3.5, just like the photos. Those are in the 4 corners. And then I cut 3 by 4s to go under the photos so that they would have a mat. And I also matted my photos in white, the same white that I used for my background there. When I printed them, they didn't have the borders on them, so I just went ahead and used some nice thick cardstock. And then I ended up not popping them up because it does have 3 layers, you know, the photo, then the white border, which was a thick cardstock, and then the that Pretty Little Studio paper that I showed you. I love how that turned out. I did them the way I matted and laid them out like that. I just think it turned out really pretty. So the 2 horizontal photos are out of part of the paper, and then, you know, like 1 layer, and then another layer were the 2 middle photos, and then the top 2 and the bottom 2 are also 2 more places on that paper, and it just kind of looks really cool to me. So I was happy with how that turned out with that kind of mixed media type paper that I chose. I love how it worked out right there, cut apart, and then on the white. It would have been beautiful as a background as well, but it was kind of fun like this and something different. So I think it worked out. I am going through the embellishments that I have left. I have used a lot of the florals, so I'm picking and choosing and going through. I still have plenty for this layout, and I'll still have plenty for a couple more. I am getting some of the little stickers on here, and I do like that, and especially on a grid layout where you're kind of doing separate little squares, or in my case, rectangles. You can use the smaller stickers and make your little scene, which mine's not really a scene, I guess, but like I did a cluster of florals and then added a couple of little tiny bugs. One's a ladybug, one's a butterfly. I did it right over top of the title. I have a couple little slices of watermelon. I'm using the watermelons in here along with the florals. Her t-shirt has Slice of Summer, which is also my title, but it's also watermelon stuff. So I thought the watermelons were a cute little addition to go along with that. So I am adding things down. Of course, the butterfly wings are popped up. One of the watermelon slices that I have there on the title, and I didn't mention that I had used a bracket. That bracket, when I purchased this collection from Pretty Little Studio, I purchased some of the digitals. I had not tried digitals before. I actually had them printed myself. I didn't print them at home. I printed them out so that it would look more like what Melissa's do when you receive the actual, you know, papers and things in. And that way I was able to play around with the collection a little bit before she even shipped it out. So that was kind of fun. But the brackets was one of them, and I printed them. I uploaded them into my Cricut and with a print and cut. Then I sent the PDF that I I print to a PDF and then sent them to the print shop, and they printed them, and then I was still able to cut them with my Cricut. So that worked out really well. And that's one of the brackets that I still have left from when I did that. So the cluster that I'm working on the top right there is going to move over to the left-hand side because the bottom left is where I'm going to do my journaling. And I wanted it to be a little bit less of a cluster in the top right, so I kind of have diagonals. I'm going to have a bunch of florals in the bottom right and the top left, and then I'm going to have my journaling in just a small cluster in the top right and bottom left there. So just making my little diagonals. It's not going to be symmetrical or anything like that, but that's kind of how I went with it. My layout, of course, looks a little different than what the original does, the original sketch. But that's okay. It was a jumping off place, and I think you can definitely see where I was inspired by the sketch. Used the same number of photos. I did use the rectangles, and she has, you know, some going up and some going across and that kind of thing. And mine aren't exactly like hers, but I think it still worked. And I really like how this turned out, and it worked out great for the photos that I chose. Hers were smaller squares, and I didn't want to cut mine down because, I mean, there were two of the photos that I could have cut down, but then two of them were a little bit too close up, and I just wasn't going to be able to make them squares, and so I just went with all rectangles, and I like how it looks. So I am going to add a couple of little word phrases in different places. The one I'm doing now over that yellow flower says, "Life is simple." And I think even in the final shots here, that's going to look kind of crooked. I take it off and fix it after I had already taken my still shots, but straight now, I have the hardest time getting everything straight, but that's okay. I am going to have that one that I'm doing now says blue sky. I add one in the bottom right cluster and it says sweet summer. And then my last one, I end up with two different colors. One says fun and it's in yellow, and one says memories. And I just, you know, layer that over it. And the memories is in green. And I like how that worked out there. I really didn't want to cover up much of that picture. I really like that one. She's not smiling, but it was just a really pretty picture with some of the the cattails kind of back behind her, and you can see the boat sitting there. And we were at my friend's house. She's got a lake, and you know, like a man-made lake that they dug, and they could stock it with fish, and the boys were fishing, and Carly was playing on the little sandy beach and chasing the feral cats. And I will have another layout because I have several pictures of the kitty cat. They were just little, and she really loved chasing them, and I would pick it up and let her hold it, and she'd be scared to death of it. But then, you know, that's how that goes. She wanted it really bad, but then when she had it, she didn't like it quite as much. So I'm using some of those teeny tiny little scallop borders and the little rickrack, and I'm accenting with those, and those are kind of my finishing touches here. I'm going to pick those in several places, one under my journaling, one under the title, one under the life is simple phrase, and then I'm going to choose some rickrack up there on the left-hand side of the top right rectangle. And then I'm going to come in with, and then one under the blue sky too. That's just a little scallop border. Then I'm going to come in with some of the clear stitches, and I'm going to add some stitching like right over top of where I added the border under the journaling. And then I'm going to add some black, and that's the black stitching. And I'm going to add some black stitching on this side of one of the photos as well, just to, you know, the rest of that piece. And I think that's it for stitching. Oh no, I did put a little tiny piece of yellow right under the word memories on that's on that photo. and the word fun was in yellow, so I just did yellow stitching right under memories, and that kind of made that stand out a little better, and I like the little stitching on there. I thought it looked super cute. And that is it. You'll be able to see some of those things I'm mentioning here in these close-up shots. Check out the Pretty Little Studio blog for information about each of the products that I used, and you can check out hashtag 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life Series 19. There is a Facebook group for that, and also a playlist, and all of that information will be listed down below in the description box. I thank you very much for joining me today. I know things are a little bit wonky on my channel. I haven't had my computer, so I've got that getting worked out. I'm getting a new one, and hopefully I can catch up. I do have several videos ready to upload. I just have to get that all finished up. So we will see you back very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.